Our team company project is on Kroger. Kroger began in 1883 when Bernard Barney Kroger used his $372 life savings to open a small grocery store in Cincinnati, Ohio, originally called the Great Western Tea Company. After buying out his partner, the business expanded to 4 stores by 1885. Kroger became an industry pioneer, opening the first in-store bakery in 1901 and added fresh meat a year later after acquiring meat packing markets. The company incorporated in 1902 and continued to grow and modernize, eventually becoming one of the nation's largest supermarket chains, known today for its wide range of store brands, groceries, fresh produce, and bakery goods. This graph shows Kroger's stock trending upward over time, reflecting steady long-term growth. Even though there are dips during economic changes, the stock reliably rebounds. Overall, Kroger appears to be a stable company with consistent demands, especially because groceries remain essential no matter the economy. Kroger has grown significantly through acquisitions, including the major 1999 merger with Fred Meyer, which helped make Kroger the largest traditional grocery retailer in the U.S. Later, the purchase of Harris Teeter in 2014 expanded the company into new regional markets. In 2020, Kroger announced a major planned merger with Albertsons for $24.6 billion, which would have created one of the largest grocery chains in the country. But the deal was blocked by regulators in 2024 over antitrust concerns. These events show how Kroger's growth and competition strategy has been heavily shaped by mergers and regulatory challenges. Kroger relies on a broad network of suppliers, both local and global, to stock its stores. The company itself describes its business as dependent on global food and consumer goods supply chains, reflecting that many of its products come from suppliers around the world. To manage this complexity, Kroger uses a formal vendor management system called Supplier Hub and logistics frameworks to ensure suppliers meet safety, quality, and sustainability standards before items go on store shelves. While global sourcing helps supply a wide variety of goods, produce, packaged food, household items, providing variety and competitive pricing, Kroger remains primarily focused on the U.S. Domestic market is most of its retail operations, store network, and consumers are in the United States. Kroger uses its resources strategically to stay competitive. Its large national store network makes it easily accessible to customers, while its private label brands allow lower prices and higher profit margins. A strong supply chain keeps inventory flowing efficiently, and technology like Kroger Plus data helps personalize deals and manage operations. Together, scale store brands and technology strengthen customer loyalty and help Kroger compete with major retailers. Kroger uses both in-house production and outsourcing to operate efficiently. It manufactures many private label products in its own facilities, giving greater control over quality and costs. At the same time, the company outsources most national brands, produce, and other goods from suppliers to maintain variety without the cost of producing everything itself. This balance helps Kroger keep prices low, offer strong store brand options, and meet customer demand effectively. Kroger is deeply involved in large-scale trade through its supplier network, sourcing products both domestically and internationally to stock its thousands of stores. Many fresh items like produce, seafood, and seasonal goods often come from global suppliers, while packaged foods and consumer products are sourced from a mix of U.S. manufacturers and international distributors. Even though Kroger relies on global supply chains for variety and pricing, most of its business activity and revenue comes from U.S. customers rather than foreign retail markets. This means global sourcing is important for inventory and pricing, but global sales are not a major revenue driver. Kroger remains primarily a domestic retail company serving the American market. Kroger's primary market is the United States, where it operates thousands of stores and sells groceries, fresh foods, pharmacy items, and household goods. While Kroger imports some products from global suppliers, most sales are domestic, so trade barriers mainly affect costs and availability rather than retail access. Tariffs or restrictions can raise supplier prices for items like produce or imported foods, influencing Kroger's sourcing and costs. Overall, Kroger remains focused on the U.S. market but is still impacted by global trade policies.
Okay, so beginning with the demand and supply analysis, Kroger is very high in demand due to the fact that it is very accessible throughout the nation. So a lot of grocery stores are only available in certain regions of the country, like how Publix is only available in the South, or Wegmans in the north, but Kroger has stores in the Southeast, Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and Texan regions, making it more accessible nationally and also a trusted place for people to go when they're traveling. And Kroger also specializes its products. So Kroger has Kroger brand for more affordable options, Simple Truth for organic items, and Private Selection for more gourmet items. And you can see in the graph that Kroger is the third fastest growing grocery store because of this. So Kroger stocks around 13,000 private label items, with around 40% of these units being produced in Kroger's production facilities. And there's a couple different advantages to this. So number one, because Kroger produces its products itself, there are less production costs, which helps them to charge a lower price for the item, making it more affordable for consumers. And there's also less of a chance of supply chain backups, like getting the product to the store. And additionally, Kroger also makes an effort to work with small businesses, once again providing a competitive advantage of having some more specialized products. And the picture on the side is just the different steps that small businesses can go through to try to get their products into Kroger. So here are the first two demand and supply analysis graphs I made. So to find in-demand items, I looked up both of their specialized brands of Simple Truth, the organic one, and Private Selection, the more gourmet one, and I just looked at the top appearing item. So for the Simple Truth protein cinnamon French toast sticks, you can see that the equilibrium price is right here, and the ideal price to charge for that is $5, and unfortunately the quantity is unknown. Whereas for the Private Selection glazed carrots, the equilibrium is right here, so the ideal price to charge is $4.49, with once again an unknown quantity being produced. So a change in supply would cause price to increase if supply fell and a decrease if supply went up. This is because a surplus of products leads to a decrease in the price because the company just wants to sell them, and people are more likely to buy it if it's a lower price, whereas a shortage causes price to increase as more people are willing to pay for it because it's just less widely available. So here I have what a change in demand would do, and you can see that as the demand goes up, then the price increases as well as the quantity, just because both production and price have to match consumer demand. So as more people want it, they're producing more, and because more people want it, they're willing to pay a higher price. So elasticity. Kroger's generalized products are pretty elastic because there's a large variety of other grocery stores that consumers could get the goods from if Kroger's prices got too high. So this incentivizes Kroger to keep prices at a moderate level. However, it also incentivizes them to continue to stock their specialized products like the organic brand and their gourmet brand, because those items are less elastic because they are specialized. So the income elasticity of demand will follow similar trends with the price elasticity because consumers are more willing and able to pay for the specialized products rather than generalized. So something that Kroger could do with this would be charging more for their specialized products than their store brand items, because people, once again, are likely to pay a higher price for it. Again, so substitutes for Kroger's products would likely be products from their competing grocery stores, with some of their biggest competitors being Aldi and Walmart because of their affordability. Complements for Kroger's products are largely other Kroger's products because it's a supermarket and sells a wide variety of items. So as a result, the cross-price elasticity of demand has the power to largely alter Kroger's income. If its price for one complement increases dramatically, consumers will not buy the other one at Kroger because it's just more convenient to buy two complements at the same place. If the price of its substitute decreases dramatically, then income will fall. So because Kroger is a supermarket and it sells all of its complements together, basically it just has a lot of incentive to keep prices for both pretty moderate so people are willing to shop there. Production and cost. So labor productivity for Kroger could be measured through the ratio of products produced to workers within the production facilities per hour. However, because Kroger not only produces the items but also sells it, it could also be measured as the amount of items stocked to workers per hour worked. So some examples of fixed costs for Kroger would be rent for production warehouses, rent for stores, property taxes, and salaries. And some variable cost examples would be money spent on production, because this is quantity dependent, shipping costs of products because that's location and quantity dependent, and advertising costs based on, once again, the amount done. So economies of scale are significant for Kroger, as when Kroger is able to produce more units, the cost per unit decreases, which is important because Kroger has close competitors. So being able to offer products at a lower price is imperative to consumer retainment.
So for the market structure, Kroger operates in an oligopoly because the grocery market is dominated by a few major firms, Kroger, Walmart, Costco, and Albertsons, that compete heavily on price, location, and brand loyalty. High entry costs for distribution and store operations prevent many new competitors. These large firms are interdependent, meaning each one's pricing and marketing decisions affect the others. As one of the main national players, Kroger holds significant market power and influence over prices, promotions, and product offerings. Kroger remains one of the largest U.S. supermarket chains, supported by its broad store network, strong private label brands, and growing digital and delivery services. But its pricing power is limited by thin margins and intense competition from Walmart, Costco, Target, regional grocers like Publix and H-E-B, and online players such as Amazon and Whole Foods. As a result, Kroger relies on efficiency, loyalty programs, and data-driven personalization rather than pricing strength. Its biggest national rivals, Walmart, Costco, and Albertsons, dominate the market, while Amazon and Whole Foods and discount chains like Aldi and Lidl add further pressure on price and convenience. Kroger operates in the grocery retail industry, which has high barriers to entry because of the enormous capital needed for store construction, inventory, and distribution systems, as well as the strong brand loyalty and supplier relationships held by major players. Barriers to exit are also significant. Companies face high costs tied to store leases, specialized equipment, and workforce reductions, making it expensive and complex to shut down operations. Kroger operates in a competitive oligopoly dominated by Walmart, Costco, and Target, limiting its pricing power and forcing it to compete via scale, private label growth, and loyalty programs. Easy consumer switching and competition from regional and online rivals push Kroger to focus on efficiency, cost control, personalized promotions, and investments in digital ordering, delivery, and automation. This tight market compresses margins but drives innovation and differentiation through convenience and customer data. Kroger operates in a heavily regulated environment following food safety, labor, environmental, and state-level rules, as well as FDA, USDA, and OSHA standards. Proposed mergers, like its planned Albertsons acquisition, face strict FTC scrutiny. These regulations shape Kroger's operations, protecting consumers, ensuring safety, and maintaining competition. For the positive externalities, Kroger improves food security through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste program, donating billions of meals to communities. It also reduces food waste and environmental burden by lowering waste generation and diverting more food from landfills through donations, composting, and recycling. For the negative externalities, despite progress, Kroger's large-scale operations and supply chains still generate environmental impacts through emissions, energy use, transport, packaging, and waste. Its size also contributes to typical retail externalities, including resource consumption and competitive pressure on smaller stores. Overall, Kroger creates significant social and environmental benefits, but still produces the common negative externalities associated with large-scale grocery retail. Kroger's Zero Hunger, Zero Waste initiative fights hunger and reduces food waste, donating billions of meals and cutting retail waste by over 26% since 2017. It diverts remaining waste through composting, recycling, and repurposing safe food while promoting sustainable packaging with recyclable, compostable, or reusable materials and phasing out single-use plastics. These efforts turn negative externalities into positive social and environmental impacts. So for the SWOT analysis, the strengths are that Kroger remains a major force in U.S. grocery retail due to its large store network, trusted private label brands, and strong customer loyalty. All of these factors provide scale advantages and steady cash flow. For the weaknesses, Kroger's focus on the U.S. market, high operating costs, and significant debt limit flexibility and make it sensitive to domestic economic changes. For the opportunities, Kroger has opportunities to grow by expanding its digital and e-commerce capabilities, strengthening its private label and organic product lines, and potentially entering new regions. And finally, for the threats, still Kroger faces threats from intense competition, fast-changing consumer preferences, supply chain vulnerabilities, and economic pressures that could tighten its already thin margins.
Okay, so beginning with the stock market recommendation, despite the fact that Kroger is a top 3 supermarket, according to Yahoo Finance, in the fiscal year 25 quarter 3 results, its stock dropped around 5%. So one reason for this could be the tariffs that President Trump reinstated starting at the beginning of his term in 2025, which impact consumers by making products more expensive, because if the product is imported, the tariff comes directly from the product being bought, whereas if the product is produced domestically, it makes the product more costly as the producer likely has to pay more for production because there's a high chance that their materials are produced abroad. So in comparison, Walmart, who is a significant competitor with Kroger, had a 4.5 increase in fiscal year 25 during quarter three. So according to Yahoo Finance, a large reason for this was the company's introduction of ChatGPT shopping, which allows consumers to buy almost every Walmart product through ChatGPT. So personally, what I would recommend for the company is to avoid buying Kroger's stock, as it has been plummeting, but instead buy its competitor Walmart's stock, as it has hit record highs and is continuing to increase.
So for another stock market recommendation, a hold is reasonable for December 2025. The company is stable and profitable long term, but faces tough competition from Walmart, Aldi, Costco, and online retailers, limiting rapid growth potential. Kroger remains a reliable, steady investment rather than a fast-gaining stock, making a hold position suitable for long-term value and dividend stability with low risk.